criticisms of the government or have trailed the news that Dangote Cement, BUA Cement, and another unnamed gas company were given waivers around June this year to export some of their goods across the border. So let's get to chat to all of this. Of course, Nigeria's border was closed as a policy in August of 2019. The waivers we're talking about now was given around June, according to documents cited by Arise News Channel. So that's 6 months. The government did not disclose to anyone. Dangote Cement disclosed this at his investors' call. BUA Cement says it was disclosed also in his half-year financial statement. You can find out on their website. Let's get a deeper sense of this story within Nigeria's industrial policy and land border closure, as well as the AFCFTA. Paul Alaje is a senior economist at SPM Professionals, joining us this evening for this two-part conversation. Paul, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
I'm sure you brought everyone up to date that the Dangote Cement has cleared up his own side, said this was not a unilateral waiver for Dangote Cement. BUA Cement has also put out a tweet and explaining his own position. This unnamed gas company remained in the shadows, as it were. So did you see this? It was done in June, according to certain documents we saw. Did you see this as favoritism, or a deliberate policy action by the government of a gradual phased reopening of the land borders, considering that the ECOWAS have appealed to President Buhari and his administration? The president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, had been in Nigeria over this issue. And Nigeria says, we will reopen the border when we think everything is right.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's favoritism when you look at the issues critically. First, you recall that the two companies mentioned had exported directly to Niger Republic. Why are they both interested in exporting to Niger Republic? Is because of price pressure due to reduction in supply since the policy has been made by Nigerian government. And because of diplomatic reasons, in my own understanding, and pressure on President Buhari coming from ECOWAS and particularly neighboring countries around Nigeria with low capacity. Recall that in 2019, Mr. Aliko Dangote's company had said it was going to establish, he actually took an offer to establish over 1 million metric tons in Niger Republic. BUA, whose company is very close, less than 200 kilometers, if you care, to Niger Republic, has also been exporting to that market before the closure started. So for me, I think it's one, for Nigeria to put up human face. And why I said that is because one of the reasons why government shut borders was because of smuggling. And one of the commodities government had mentioned that has been smuggled outside Nigeria is petroleum prices, which continue to drive up price. Apart from that, rice paddy and finished rice into Nigeria in exchange, some of which government have said with the closure is going to enable local producer to have robust market and also to have value for their production. What we have started seeing, according to the two companies that have come out to clear their name, is one, where it's not a unit, it has not been given unilaterally, and two, it has been purely export oriented. And export, it now depends on currency with which these companies has received income. If it's coming via Naira, yeah, it's good for them, but it's also good for the country because it expands job market in Nigeria. If it's coming as US dollars, then I think it's also going to help beyond the company. It's even going to help our foreign reserve and to stabilize our currency. I think where a lot of people have issues with all of these, I think they are majorly in two areas. One, the information is not in public domain on time. It's June. Some of us get to know about this when reports from these two companies were being published. Number two is some other companies are wondering why these companies have been selected. Why have they not make it open?
That is exactly open, Paul. First, the Nigerian government, when the borders were being shut last year, August, publicly disclosed. When the government started giving exemptions, whatever the volume of products being taken across the border by land, they did not disclose. That is on one hand. Second, why cement only? Why these two big cement companies. What about other SMEs and other companies in industrial production, whether they're producing cement or they're doing whatever, any other products locally?
So what we know is that government has been very selective as to which company will receive waiver and on what product will waiver be given. Recall that cement in Nigeria said it has achieved sufficiency in cement production. I think there is a sector that we have experienced something like this in 2012, which has to do with sugar. There has been policy structure as we speak where 3 companies have remained giants and perhaps sole importers of sugar, according to Sugar Development Council of Nigeria. And this information is published, by the way, on Sugar Council of Nigeria. As of 2018, Nigeria has 1.8 million metric ton imports into Nigeria, and very few have been produced. But government has been able to control who brings this. I think government may gradually be going to that point where policy will be issued and guidelines will be issued to know who and who is responsible for what, or how do we go about bringing product or commodity, either taking them out of Nigeria or bringing them into Nigeria. So for me, I also have a lot of worries that this information is not in public domain. And when you look at cement, when you look at the number of cement manufacturers we have in Nigeria, the 2 companies remain very dominant. And maybe the 3rd company, which of course we've not heard so much coming from, and you might also want to say it's not an indigenous company, but the 2 indigenous manufacturers of cement, who we know that they have Nigerian origin, and the owners of the organization are predominantly Nigeria, beyond what is registered with Corporate Affairs Commission. These 2 have been given, and within the sector, you might say it's a bit competitive. I think why many people may have worries is because it has been limited to just 2 people. But when you look at the entire sector, there are just very few people in cement manufacturing sector in Nigeria. If you count them, you will not count all the fingers on your palm to know how many operators are truly within that sector. And this is why government should come up on time to discuss, so that people will not be having other perspectives.
Discuss and disclose. That's very important. Transparency and a level playing field. Let's continue this conversation when we come back around the country's industrialization and the incoming EFCFTA in January next year. We'll be right back. Everyone stand by. My guest, economist Paul Alaje, is answering a few more questions on this. Paul, let's continue from where we stopped about whether this was a preferential treatment or not. But the whole imperative of land border closure, the arguments made last year by the government, are they still valid today for the land border closure remaining in place?
Well, I doubt if the argument are still in place. I cited the issue of rice. Rice paddy, before government shut the borders, was about 130 per ton. Today, rice paddy is about 195,000 per ton instead of 130,000 per ton. Again, when you look at what is happening to inflation, which was one of the reasons government cited, it was far lower than what we have today. It was around 11, pinching towards 12%. What we have today is over 13%, getting closer to 14%. When you look at job market, last year, job market in terms of percentage, unemployment rate, according to National Bureau of Statistics, year-on-year Q2 2020, it has increased from what it was before to 27.1%. Youth unemployment, the major contributor to NSAS, was 39.4%. These are figures from authorities, government agency, National Bureau of Statistics. So when we say we have closed borders so that we can enhance local industry, I doubt. Now, to close border, it's a policy, it's a decision of government, but to do the needful, which China did during partial autarky policy, which America did when it wanted to compete with United Kingdom as a beginning of its industrialization, Nigeria authority have done what is necessary. But economics is not just about necessary condition, but more importantly about sufficient condition. Sufficient condition is what seems to be missing and what government has not done.
Insufficient condition, so we go back to our industrialization policy. Industrialization policy means we grow what we eat, we can do what we want to be self-sufficient. So where is that? How do we implement a successful industrialization policy?
So a number of things needs to be done. First, we are looking at between medium to long-term decisions or policies that will help us come out of the current economic quagmire. First, who is the driver? Who is going to drive this? Will it be just Ministry of Industry? I doubt if we will get meaningful results if the ministry is the only one that is championing this. You see, beginning of all of this is what is happening to education. Are we still going to have more and more universities that grew between 2012, 2013, only 24 or 36, depending on the number you want to take, to over 90 public universities, most of which we are not funding as a people. When you look at the university, what kind of education are we giving to people? Is it service-oriented or industry-oriented? What I think we should be doing is, have we seen those vocational study centers, vocational, may not be university, colleges that China put in place before we started seeing the kind of growth? It took 10 years after these institutions were put in place in China. What is happening to our health policy? What is happening to even manufacturing policy? When we say we want to grow what we eat, when we say we want to manufacture what we drive, policies of government must include all and sundry. It will not just be civil servants or policy makers without calling all stakeholders across board, whether you are in health or you are in education or you are in industry, for instance, or you are in power. We must know, for instance, Minister of Power must tell us what will be his contribution in terms of power supply targeted for industry. And I also think when we start seeing significant changes, when state governors start taking responsibility for power production. And when I say responsibility, not that states will take out money that is limited in supply from their state through IGR or FAC account. That's not what I mean. But to sign significant and meaningful partnership with private sector who may provide, say, 50 megawatt, 100 megawatt, 150 megawatt pocket of power supply, which may not necessarily be on national grid. If there is no power, I doubt if industrialization will come. So and I've said, with the good energy government has put in place in the last 5 years for agriculture, very good, very significant. You've started seeing more and more local brand in terms of rice production. But what seems to be missing is linking these to factories. We must see the linkage coming from what effort of government. If not, it will be a waste. And linking this again to the market. So we are able to provide the linkages, might just be there.
Paul, we're just about 2 months to the reset date of the new EFCFTA, which is 1st of January 2021. So should Nigeria move ahead now and reopen its land borders?
I think Nigeria should reopen land border, but we should do it gradually. We should first open for export, open for export so that you have encouraged our population. I was expecting us, I expected I would have done more, but you know, no thanks to COVID-19, it disrupted so many plans, both private sector and public sector. But I think as a matter of urgency, government need to take caution so that we don't open back into massive importation and kill what government have started to build in terms of protection of local industry. But when we eventually open, there will be no such protection again. Everybody will need to stand on his foot to see how much he can produce and contribute to the basket called Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. If you don't provide it sufficient enough for your population, whether you are in a Nigerian country or you are in South Africa, whatever it is, you must provide that enabling environment through policy, through action of government, partnership with private sector, innovation. All of those must be on the table for Nigerian currency to be stronger, for unemployment to significantly reduce.
Paul,
if not, it is not just unemployment, people might even move to other countries.
Thank you so much, Paul Alaje. We appreciate your time from SPM Professionals Senior Economist.